Now, hold on. Congress passed a law saying you can't have marijuana. And Barack Obama said, I'm the president. I ain't going to instruct any of my guys to enforce that law. That is how the executive branch checks the legislative branch. You see, there's this thing called checks and balances. The judicial branch issues rulings, says you can't do that. Legislative branch can pass laws saying, here's what you got to do. And the executive branch can choose to not do things. It works out pretty well. In this instance, Trump is going to basically tell the Department of Education, stop doing things and stop giving people money. So the core functions that need to be done technically could be done. But if he's only doing it at about 1% of what's supposed to be done, he's still technically doing it. And the argument from Trump is once this executive order goes through and we begin the process of dismantling it, Congress will eventually act to shut the whole thing down. I'm not entirely convinced, but we're at a wartime presidency right now. And so, and I mean that. I hope people are paying attention to what's going on with the stories that we have right now. I don't know what to expect from Trump, but this is not a typical administration. This is not a typical opposition. Chuck Schumer goes on TV saying they intentionally put in judges to block, they set up judges intentionally so that they could launch lawsuits against the administration and get injunctions every step of the way. This is not about what is constitutional or what Trump can do. It is about Democrats going to war administratively with Trump. And now Trump is going to have to operate similarly. So there you go.
I mean, it's going to war against the will of the American people. The president was elected with a mandate. Yes. People knew what they were getting. People knew that he was going to create Doge. People knew that he was going to go after the bureaucracy. People knew that he was going to try to, quote unquote, drain the swamp. This is all in line with what he promised and what he was elected to do. And there's one other thing that I want to point out. If you're a libertarian, if you have libertarian leanings, Donald Trump is the most effective libertarian president we have seen since Calvin Coolidge, possibly since the actual founders, right? This administration has put more effort into shrinking the government and cutting waste than any other administration, definitely in my lifetime, probably any administration in the whole of the 20th century. So people that are saying, oh, I would want Donald Trump to do the, if you're a libertarian that we're saying, I want Donald Trump to do this, to do that, etc. Give him time. This is far more cuts and more effort put into shrinking the government than I think that I've definitely seen in my lifetime, And it's something that everybody that voted for Donald Trump knew that they were going to be getting when they voted.
You know what, Phil? School sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Everybody thinks
it's fun
so.
to hang out sometimes when you're in school.
No. That's not school. That's hang out. Mm-hmm. Like if you give me a big empty building and said, hey, you want to go hang out for a little bit? I'd be like, sounds great. We'll skate. I can skateboard in a big empty building. Hey, we got one of those. But if you say that you're going to sit in a room where some apathetic government employee is going to yell at you and tell you that boys are girls and girls are boys, that's awful.
And schools nowadays, they're not designed, in fact, not even nowadays, for a long time, they haven't been designed to actually teach people important things that they need to know. How many times have you heard people say, I didn't learn how to balance my checkbook, or I didn't learn about how our financial system works, or I didn't learn how I should actually save money. The schools that were set up or the way schools were set up in the 40s and 50s and stuff, they became a way to get people ready to work in an industrialized society that no longer exists, with the bells to change classes and the
that's dumb anyway.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Remember back in the 50s when kids brought their guns to school?
Yeah, and they had rifle classes and shooting.
What was that shooting in Texas at the bell tower or whatever? You remember that one?
Yeah. Oh, the college.
And then a bunch of people who had guns ran out to try and fired at him, suppress the shooter.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, kids would bring their rifles to target, to
back
school.
In my day.
What, you had that at school?
I lived in the woods. You could have it in the truck. If they're sitting up in the truck, you can have the rifle.
You'd go to school with the rifle. Did they have rifle class?
No, we did not. But we were a big hunting community. We lived in the woods. So.
Schools used to have rifle class.
Yeah.
I had schools in my high school in Idaho in 2008, 2009. People had.
Really?
That's not that long ago.
It's not that long ago. 30 years ago, 20 years ago.
I was an adult man at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in high school in the late 80s and early 90s, and there were I lived in Massachusetts suburbs and stuff, but if you had a gun, if you had a rifle in your truck or whatever, no one was going to would even think that there was going to be a problem. It was so far outside of anyone's mind.
And talking about learning stuff, they don't do trade classes anymore.
No.
They don't do anything that's useful to, like, Tim, I heard you ranted today about college, or every day, about how college can be useless. They don't teach people how to build anything, how to use screwdrivers, how to use drill guns, how to do mechanics, how to work on your car.
What's a screwdriver?
It's mostly useless.
I've heard that before.
You know what's funny is that I went to Catholic school for a few years, and it was private and it was expensive. And then when I started 6th grade, I switched to public school. Wow, is it night and day? Mm-hmm. The funny thing is, though, what the woke have been trying to do, what the left has been trying to do through the Department of Education and through public schooling, is essentially indoctrinate people to their religion. Mm-hmm. They don't understand, like when Sam Cedar was in that debate with Eleazar Perez, he does not comprehend what religion is. In his mind, he's got like an 8th grade understanding of the word religion. He thinks it means like fairy tale, fairy tale rules or whatever, instead of moral traditions and things like that. So when you look at what the left is trying to implement through wokeness in schools, the reason why you see all these videos of teachers with, pride flags and BLML stuff, they are trying not to educate, to teach math. No, they were saying 2 + 2 = 5. What they're trying to do is act like churches for young people to create a generation of ideologically aligned cultists. Mm-hmm. And Trump is dismantling that now with crushing the Department of Education. They're going to resist. Judges will tell Trump no. But as I stated already, this is wartime presidency.
Feels like it.
It is. And I think the right is full of naive people. The left has been waging administrative warfare and kinetic warfare for a decade, from the riots. I mean, go back to when Donald Trump's first term, the Berkeley riots. The far left shows up and threw explosives at old ladies. Mm-hmm. Terrorism. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.